Bezrat Hashem, tonight we continue Ilchot Shabbat. Continue to learn about the Melachot Shabbat. We learned last time, we did a little bit of review of Shabbat. What is Shabbat? Even Friday night, exactly how we're coming back from Shul, what we need to prepare for Shabbat before, and what we're doing during the Kiddush and the prayers, and exactly the Shabbat afternoon, and the Shabbat Suda Shlishit, and then the Havdalah. We learn about all the review of Shabbat. We did a short review because we learned the rest in the prayers sessions about all the details of the prayers. And Bezrat Hashem, tonight we continue the Ilchot Shabbat. We continue to learn about the Melachot Shabbat, the actual Melachot Shabbat. Okay, so let's dive in and see what it's exactly the Melachot, what not allowed to from the Torah to do, what is Melacha, what is Tolada, what exactly the difference between Melacha and Tolada, and when and where we'll learn the Melachot from the Torah, from the Rabbanan, or from the Mishkan, and what exactly it's applied for today, what is relevant for today, why it's 39 and 9 and not 32. Who say that? Okay, so let's dive in. So we begin again to review. You remember we spoke about it in the first class when we do the introduction of Shabbat, but I want to do it again in a short review, brief review, just to let you know what is Melacha, what is Tolada, and what is Avodah, and then we dive in to see the exact Melachot and to see the details. Okay. The Torah said, the pasuk, lo ta'aseh kol melacha, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. You see the pasuk here, the Torah mentioned the word melacha and the word avodah. What is the difference with the word melacha, which means kind of project, something that I created, and avodah, which means work? What kind of work that the Torah doesn't let me to create and to do on Shabbat? So melacha, there is a few definition and distinction on the word melacha. It's going to be from the word malach, which means an angel. Angel is going for one mission. You have attention, you have a purpose for what he's doing. When you create something that you think, that's melacha that the Torah forbids to do. If you do something by mistake, or you not do it deliberately, you not do it in purpose, is not considered melacha. Or something, melacha also, it's like lashon, it's like a word melech, like a king, that the king doing things in order, and everything is very, very organized. Okay, this is the word melacha that the Torah said that we're not allowed to do. Avodah, which means work. It's from the word eved, slave. A slave, he's doing, but he's not thinking what he's doing. He have no purpose. He's doing whatever he needed to do, whatever he committed to command to do. Okay, but he's not thinking. So if you do something that is not something that you create, you're just doing it just for doing, but without thinking. This is avodah. It's called work. It's something that you do, like serve other people. You can sweat, you can work, but you're actually not creating anything. It's not forbidden from the Torah. Only if this work connected with melacha, it's melechet avodah, which means you're doing the work, you're doing the something that create and generate money, generate projects, connect things together. We're going to learn Bezrat Hashem. But if you're just doing stuff that is not generating, is not having attention, or something that you create by thinking, it's not forbidden from the Torah. So you see here, not thinking on nothing, just work. this is avodah by himself. But if it's connected together, this is forbidden from the Torah. Kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. There is 39 melachot in the Torah, but there is also tolada. Tolada, it's like from the word yeled, from the word child. It's like something that comes from melacha, come from the melacha, which means it's something that look like the same of the melacha, but is not in the Torah, is not something that was in the Mishkan time. Okay, this is considered tolada, which means melacha, it's whatever happened, whatever the Torah mentioned the word melacha, the Torah mentioned the word 39 times, the Torah mentioned the word melacha. That's what we have, 39 melachot in the Torah. Okay, how we learn these 39 melachot? We'll learn it from the rabbinical. Rabbinical, it's the Mishkan that we had in the time of the desert, that Am Yisrael was in the desert for 40 years. They have like kind of small temple that Moshe created and build it with Am Yisrael together. And whatever they did, any kind of effort and any kind of work, it's considered melacha. The Torah mentioned all the details in Parashat Truma, Tetzaveh, Vayakel, Pekudei. It's 4 parashiyot that talk about the Mishkan, and all the time the Torah said, this is melacha, this is melacha, this is melacha. So if the Torah said over here that this is 39 items, 39 things that categories that consider melacha, and here the Torah said that we're not allowed to do melacha on Shabbat, so we're doing hekesh, we're doing connected together. If the Torah say over here that we're not allowed to do what? Not allowed to do whatever I told you over here that is considered melacha. So all the stuff that in the Mishkan is considered melacha because they were create something, whether they write, whether they build, whether they cut. So this is called considered melachot. So we have 39 melachot, and we have also tolada of each melacha. Okay, so let's see the review of the melachot. The melachot of Shabbat review. The melachot of Shabbat, we have 39 categories of activity that forbidden on Shabbat. You can see it in your binder also. You can see it in your binder and see exactly the 39 melachot. You can learn one by one. But first of all, I would like to show you the review. The review is 6 categories that those 39 melachot divided by 6 categories. Okay? We have the categories melachot of the bread, the field work. This is 11 melachot. 11 melachot that connected to whatever needs to be and do for the make bread. From the time that we plowing, the time that we sowing, the time that we cutting, or the time that we doing gathering the wheat and the barley. All those melachot that you see in the green behind it, in the green color, it's melachot. It's 11 melachot that connect to the bread, to the field work. Okay? I'm going to go one by one. And then we have melachot of clothes, how to make the material curtains for the Mishkan. It's 13 melachot. 13 melachot. It start all those with the purple color. If we start from, you can see here, gozez, korea, melaben. It's all the melachot that connect to make the clothes or to make something that you can sew together. It's whether it's sewing, you can see here, sewing, tofer, korea, treating, tearing, or oreg, it's connecting 2 pieces together. Gozez, it's like cutting with the scissors, or melaben, whatever. We're gonna go all the details. So this is the 13 melachot, that melachot of clothes, how to make clothes. The third categories, the melachot of hunting. is making leather curtains in the Mishkan. So the Melachot of hunting, how many Melachot we have? It's 7 Melachot. Whatever you can see here, this orange color, you can see hunt, hunt, and shochet is the slaughtering the animal, taking the skin out, and all those stuff that related to hunting and to taking and making the leather from the skin of the animal. This is 7 melachot. Then we have melachot of writing, number 4. Okay, melachot of writing. Melachot of writing, we have the making the beams of the Mishkan, all the beams of the Mishkan. So they write all the numbers you can see here, Melechet Kotev, Melechet Mochek, writing 2 letters or erasing 2 letters of Shabbat, okay? This is all the melachot that belong to the Mishkan. So this is 8 melachot. Okay? So we have the melachot of writing. It's making the beams of the Mishkan. It's 8 melachot. Okay, whatever it belongs to writing or erasing or making the lines for the Mishkan to know how to connect all the woods together. Okay, and then we have the number 5 categories of melachot of building, whatever it's connecting to a building of the Mishkan. It's putting up and taking down the Mishkan. It's 6 melachot. It's all the stuff that belong to the melachot of the Mishkan that connect to a building. Okay? We're going to go and see and review each one of them. Number 6, it's melachot of fire. Melachot of fire, it's the Mishkan's final touches. Okay? Whatever it's, you can see it's here in pink color. It's kindling, it's mechabeh, extinguish the fire on Shabbat. This is number 6. And then we have another two. It's makeh bepatish. It's melacha that related to all of them. It's basically, it's finishing the project, which means I can do melacha and work for 1 week, for a couple hours for something, but somebody else come and put the last nail on the chair. He's makeh bepatish because he's the one who actually make the project finished. He finished the makeh bepatish. He make it solid. He's the one who make it a chair or table or whatever, any kind of tool or any kind of vessel. This is makeh bepatish, is related to all of them. Okay, it's basically finishing the project. Makeh, it's hitting. Bepatish, it's like hammer. Okay. Another melacha, it's carrying from place to place. We're not allowed to carry on Shabbat from place to place. We're going to go and learn what exactly this melachot umuktzeh, which place to which place we're not allowed to carry. It's related to the location of the item. It's not about the item himself, how to build and what to do. It's the location. Are you not allowed to transfer or carry anything from location to location? Because Shabbat, the purpose of Shabbat is to rest and to relax and not to carry especially heavy stuff from place to place. Okay, so this is the 39 melachot Shabbat review. Okay, let's dive and see exactly for each category which melachot we're talking about. Okay, the 39 melachot review start with the melachot of the bread, 11 melachot. You can see it here. You can see it on your binder also. I write it down for you that it's going to be easier for you to see it, visualize, and then we can go one by one. Okay, the melachot of the bread, of the field, basically, it's all what belongs to a work on the field. It's plowing, sowing, reaping, gathering and binding, threshing, winnowing, selecting, grading, sifting, kneading, and baking. It's all about from the ground, whatever happened in the Mishkan. You see the Mishkan in the background, whatever they do, they plow the field, the sowing, the planting all the seeds, and whatever they make it grow until they bake and make the actually bread for lechem hapanim. And then we have the melachot, the 13 melachot of what? Of clothes, how to make clothes, and whatever they did to cover the Mishkan. You see behind it, it's called the Yeriot Mishkan. Yeriot Mishkan was like kind of blankets that they saw it, they saw it and cover the Mishkan from outside. Okay, so this is the 13 melachot. It's shearing wool, cleaning, combine, dyeing, spinning, stretching the threads, making loops, waving threads, separating the threads, tying the knot, untying the knot, and sewing. This is the 13 melachot that belongs to what? To how to make it close. Melachot of hunting, it's 7 melachot. 7 melachot that belongs to hunting and whatever belongs to how to make the skin and the leather for the Yeriot Mishkan that used to cover it also with the Yeriot Izim. They take it from the goat and they cover and also they write on it. Okay, it's trapping. All the melachot that belongs to hunting is trapping, slaughtering the animal, skinning, take out the skin, tanning, smoothing, ruling lines, then making the lines on the skin and cutting. Okay, this is the melachot of hunting. How much? How many melachot? 7. You need to remember all those numbers. Okay, the melachot of the Mishkan. The 4 categories, the melachot of the Mishkan is 8. Okay, 8. It's all the melachot that general melachot. The Mishkan is writing 2 letters or erasing 2 letters, buildings, breaking down, extinguish a fire, kneeling in a fire, striking the final hammer blow. This is makebe patish and carrying on Shabbat. Okay, so this is the 39 melachot review on Shabbat. It's amazing to see that the numbers divided like that, because we have 39 not just on Shabbat, we have 39 tights on the tzitzit. You remember we will learn about tzitzit? We have 39 strings on the tzitzit that we tied it in the way in the tzitzit that we have exactly the same way of 39 tights, but it's divided by 7, 8, 11, and 13. Because the reason that we're wearing tzitzit is to remember the mitzvot of Hashem. So how can we remember the mitzvot of Hashem of Shabbat if we don't have our tefillin that remind us that we connect to Hashem, connect to the ot, the sign between us and Hashem. That's why Moshe said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how Am Yisrael is supposed to remember the mitzvot of Shabbat. So Hashem said, put tzitzit. Why tzitzit? Because it's tzitzit. We have the 39 strings, 39 tights that exactly divided like that. The 7, 8, 11, and 13. Okay? So let's go and see one by one the melachot of Shabbat. Before that, we have additional restrictions of Shabbat. We have the toladot of Shabbat, that this is the stuff that is not in the Mishkan. All the melachot that you saw before, those melachot that the Torah forbidden to do it on Shabbat because it's exactly what they used to do in the Mishkan. Okay? But we have the toladot, that stuff that connect to the Av Melacha, connect to the Melacha in the way that it seems like and look like the same way how you do it, but it's not the one that they used to do on the Mishkan. Okay? Again, Av Melacha, if the Torah we have 39 Melachot, it's exactly Melacha that they used to do in the Mishkan. But we'll learn from it. If the Torah say that this one is not allowed, so whatever related to that, whatever it look like, whatever it's similar to this melacha, it's also not allowed to do from the Torah. But this is toladot. Okay? Toladot, this is the stuff that look like the melacha, look like the same thing, la melacha, but it's not reading right, reading the Torah. Toladot, the work which is different from that done in the Mishkan, but which achieves the same result. Those types of melacha are also for prohibited by the Torah. Okay, this is the Toladot. Additional on that, additional restriction, we have rabbinical decrees. There is a number of additional activities that are forbidden by the rabbis, by the Rabbanan. It's not from the Torah, but Chazal, the Rabbanan said that it's forbidden on Shabbat because also it's not look like an honor of Shabbat. So the Chazal came and add few things that we're not allowed to do on Shabbat, even from the Torah it's allowed. Chazal said that is not allowed. Okay, why? Because it's not look like the way that the Shabbat is supposed to be look like. So whatever can cause us to do melacha, can cause us to do tolada, Chazal make a fence not to let us do it on Shabbat. Okay, let's see. What is that? A, activities that might lead directly to the violation of the Torah prohibition. Okay, whatever that can cause you to do the melacha himself that the Torah said that you're not allowed to do, whatever it can cause you to violate the rules on the Torah. So that's why Chazal make kind of offense not to do it. Okay. B, use of item not designed for Shabbat use. It's called muktzeh. Whatever is not designed for Shabbat use, whatever it's muktzeh, we're going to learn it. Muktzeh, we have 7 or 8 even categories of muktzeh, all the items and stuff that we're not allowed to move on Shabbat. Okay? Because Chazal said, even I'm not going to touch the phone, even I'm not going to touch the car, but even I'm not willing to use it, but even I'm not allowed to touch it. I'm not allowed to move it from place to place. I'm not allowed to touch the pen. Even I'm not using the pen. The Torah said that I'm not allowed to write, but Chazal said also you're not allowed to move it. It's called muktzeh. Muktzeh, which means something that not designed and to use on Shabbat. Muktzeh, it's something that muktzeh, it's a kind of rejection that push you away not to touch it. Okay, this is called muktzeh. We're going to learn all the type of muktzeh that we have on Shabbat, what we're allowed to carry, what we're allowed to move, what we're allowed to touch, what we're not allowed to touch. C, activities that might lead one to think that is forbidden activities is permissible, which means it's called mar'it ha'ain, the appearance of the eye, which means that the activities that might lead to think that is forbidden on Shabbat, which means I'm going to give you an example. We're not allowed to do something that people might think that I violate the Shabbat. Let's say I'm allowed to put inside the machine, laundry machine, a clothes few minutes before Shabbat, even I know that the machine will continue during the Shabbat to make the clothes and to make it dry. But because people can think that I open it and did it on Shabbat, I'm not allowed to do it. I'm going to teach you how exactly we're supposed to do it. But just one example. You can ask me, so how are we allowed to use electricity? Because today, everybody knows that there is a clock and schedule clock that can put the light in a different timing, and I can set it up before Shabbat. That's what we're allowed to use, a light before Shabbat and leave it open on Shabbat. And we don't say that because of Mar'ita Ayin, the appearance of eye, people might think that I open it on Shabbat, the light. That's why we're allowed to use it. But whatever it's look like, whatever it seems like, that people think or thought, oh, wow, this guy is not Shomer Shabbat. He's not keeping Shabbat. He's not observing Shabbat. And you could have do something that allowed, but they think that is not allowed. So it's called Mar'ita Ayin. Also, it's not allowed from the rabbinical decrees. It's not allowed from the Rabbanan, not from the Torah. We're going to go and learn all the details. Bezrat Hashem. D, activities not appropriate for Shabbat, even though they are technically permissible. Technically, you're allowed to leave the TV on Shabbat on from Friday before Shabbat and leave it on during the Shabbat. Technically, but we're not allowed to do it because the Rabbanan said it's called uvdin dechol, uvda dechol, which means whatever you do during the week, it's a weekday activity. Weekday activity, it's called uvdin dechol, that because you use it in a way that belongs to the weekday activity, so everybody knows that it's not appropriate on Shabbat. So even it's technically permissible, we're not allowed to do it on Shabbat. From the Rabbanan, again, from the Rabbanan. And you consider that you're not keeping Shabbat if you leave the TV, the radio, or any kind of watching on Shabbat, if you do something that is not the honor of kavod of Shabbat. You don't feel the environment of Shabbat, and it's not of course it's not the right things to do. And also it's a sur from the Rabbanan, because the Navi Ishayahu said, the prophet Isaiah, he said, recorded for prohibition against speaking of business and against weekday oriented activities. Navi Shaya said in the pasuk, I mentioned it last shiur, וקראת לשבת עונג, למצוא חפצך ודבר דבר. Even, it's not melacha to talk, but you're not allowed to talk of something that belongs to business. Not allowed to say, oh, I need to pay this bill, I need to do how much it costs. Not allowed to say to someone how much it costs in Shabbat. Not allowed to talk about the business, not allowed to talk about sales, we're not allowed to talk about a lot of things on Shabbat. We're going to learn that Bezrat Hashem one by one. So even it's not melacha, but it's the things that we're not allowed to do from the Rabbanan. Okay? There is also few conditions that we're not allowed to do it from the Rabbanan, because in the Torah we have few conditions in order to consider you making the melacha and make it in a forbidden way. But if you do it not in the same way, it's not forbidden from the Torah, but forbidden from the Rabbanan. I give you an example. Melechet machshevet. Melechet machshevet, which means with kavanah. The only things that according to the Torah we're not allowed to do, it's whatever you have kavanah, you have attention. You think. Machshevet, it's to think with kavanah. But if I did it by mistake, I didn't think, I just passed by, and then by mistake I cut the grass. I cut the leaves from the tree. So you not violate the Shabbat from the Torah. Okay? Because the Torah said we're a human being. We're not supposed to be angels. But okay, so in order to violate the Torah, you have to have the melechet machshevet. You have to have the machshava, which mean uh, uh, that we have to have that this kavanah deliberately, this attention to do the melacha. But if you didn't do it in attention, is not allowed from the Rabbanan, but not from the Torah. The same thing, another condition for tikkun, not kilkul, which means in order to have all the melachot that we're talking about, in order to violate the melachot that forbidden on Shabbat, only when you do it in order to fix something or to create something. But if you do it in order to break it, let's say you want to open bag of chips, bag of bisli, bag of bamba. You're reaping on Shabbat, but you're not allowed to reap. But I'm allowed to reap if I don't care about the reaping. I don't care about the reaping. I just care about the food inside, so I'm allowed to reap. Okay, this is one example. I'm going to give you more example. I'm allowed to break a chavit, a barrel of wine or barrel of full of dates or fruits in order to get inside. But I'm not allowed to break in Shabbat. I'm allowed to if I'm doing kilkul, which means mekulkal, which means broken, in a broken way. Not tikkun, which means when I'm trying to fix something. I'm breaking in order to fix. That's why it's not allowed from the 39 melachot and from the Torah. But if I do it in a different way, I'm allowed to do it. Okay? The same thing that whatever the Torah said that we're not allowed to do in the 39 melachot, it's whatever it's mitkayem, which means it lasted. But if I do it something that is not mitkayem, let's say I'm writing on the window of my car, of the window of my house, with it's a little bit of dew, I'm writing. I'm not allowed to do it. But from the Torah, I'm allowed to do it because it's not lasting. Okay? So Chazal said that we're not allowed to do it. From the Torah, you're allowed to do it. Because the Torah said that only if you write something that lasts, something that remains, that you see the ink. But if you don't see it, technically you're allowed to. But Chazal, the Rabbanan said that you're not allowed to. Okay, the same thing, beshinui. If in order to violate the melachot of Shabbat, you have to do it in the right way. Let's say I'm opening the light like that, I'm driving like that, I'm taking a fire like that. But if I'm doing it in beshinui, which means in a different way, I'm opening the light like that, I'm carrying something, my phone fell down on the floor in the middle of the street. Now I don't want to lose it, so I'm allowed to carry it with my leg to push it to the side. Okay, beshinui. Okay, it's just from the Rabbanan, it's not from the Torah. Okay, because the Torah said that whatever we're not allowed to do, it's only when you do it in the right way. Also, but if you do it not in the right way, beshinui, it's from the Rabbanan. Same thing if you do it by mistake, which means that you forget of Shabbat, forget that it's Shabbat, or you forget that the melacha not allowed. You forget the melacha. Oh, I didn't know that it's forbidden. Oh, I forgot it's Shabbat. What should I do? I warm up the food, or I cooked by mistake, or I cut something by mistake. I'm allowed to enjoy it? No, because this is from the Rabbanan. You're not allowed to enjoy it. The Rabbanan give you penalty. Even you did it by mistake. Okay, we're not going to consider that you violate the Shabbat because you did it by mistake, and you're not gonna punished by that. But if you would like to enjoy it, there is a rules and there is a penalty that you're not allowed to enjoy it during the Shabbat, only after Shabbat. Because not the we're going to learn that more details and one by one. Okay, this is all the toladot and the additional restriction and conditions of Shabbat. You should practice it and learn it and know it because it's very, very important. But don't worry, we're going to go and learn one by one. The Melachot of Shabbat, this is one of the hardest and the biggest and the longest, and the deepest, a lot of details. Even somebody that learned it over and over again, we learned it for years, and we keep in Shabbat for years, and we still need to practice it and to know it. That's why I try to summarize and to put it in the way that it's going to be easier for you to see it, to understand it, and also to apply it. But don't worry, Bezat Hashem, I'm going to go one by one and explain it, Bezat Hashem, much more details. Okay, so let's see the Melachot of Shabbat one by one and see all the halachot that belongs to it. Okay, so we're starting of Melachot of the bread. How many Melachot we have of the bread? We have 11 Melachot. The first Melacha is Melechet Zorah, sowing or seeding. Whatever, what is the definition? Whatever makes something growing. Whatever you're making something or you're trying to plant to seeds or to sowing on Shabbat on the field, you're not allowed to do it on Shabbat. This is the definition of this melacha. What is the Av Melacha? The Av Melacha, it's Zorah, it includes planting or sowing or watering seeds to induce or encourage growth. So whatever you planting or sowing, you're not allowed to do. This is the Av Melacha, or watering. You put water around. You planted before Shabbat, but you want it to grow. You help it to grow. You do something that you make something that grow and make it grow. Encourage growth. This is Av Melacha that you're not allowed to do. This is Melacha only transgrades in a place where the seeds could grow. Let's say you have seeds that you want to give to ducks, but it's not in the place that it could grow. It's just on the grass somewhere, or on the place that's sand, like a beach sands, or outside in the backyard. But it's not going to grow. You're allowed to give them seeds. You're allowed to throw seeds. You're allowed to give them a little bit of food. Sometimes you eating seeds on Shabbat when you're walking around, or if even you put seeds in the place that it could grow, but you're sure that they're going to eat all of them, you're allowed to do it on Shabbat. But otherwise, you need to be careful once you eat fruits, like let's say orange or any kind of other fruits, that sometimes you're taking the seeds out and you throw it. You might grow, you might plant, it might plant on the field on Shabbat, so it's not allowed to. Okay, whatever you put it in a place that you could, the seeds could grow, but otherwise it's allowed to. Same thing, cutting trees. Okay, in order to make him grow more. This is also part of the Av Melacha, because whatever it makes something growing. So you cut in the tree because you want him to grow more. So you're helping the tree to grow. You're helping this kind of things to grow. So this is also not allowed to do on Shabbat. Okay, what is the Toladah? Not allowed to watering. Watering, not just the seeds. The seeds, this is the water in the seeds. You put it on top of the seeds. I'm talking about here, we're not allowed to put any kind of water, any kind of field, because this is the Toladah. It's look like, and it seems like that watering in order to make something grow. So you're not allowed to take any kind of water. If you have a faucet, if you have a hose in your background, in your backyard, you want to put or play with the kids, you have to be careful. It's not going to go in the place that there is a field or any kind of a place that it can grow something. Okay, not allowed to open the faucet on the field. Okay, this is the Toladah. Also not to put flowers inside the water in Shabbat. You have flowers, you're not allowed to put the flowers in Shabbat because you make them grow more, right? You have this vessel, you have this bucket, or you want to use the Shabbat, you want to change the water, you want to put it, or you forget to put it before Shabbat, you want to put it, you're not allowed to put it on Shabbat himself. Also, this is Tolada of Zorea, of it makes something to grow, okay? But if you would like to open the faucet or any kind of water on the regular floor, the bricks, there is no problem. Only on the field himself that this is prohibited to do it on Shabbat. So the second melacha is melechet choresh, plowing. Every time that we're going to learn about the melacha, it's going like that. What is the definition? I'm going to ask you, what is the definition, which means, what is the melacha? What is the av melacha, which means whatever they used to do in the Mishkan. So this is the av melacha. Whatever the tolada, it's something that look like the av melacha, okay? Melechet choresh, we're not allowed to plowing on Shabbat. Definition, it's preparing the field for planting or seeding. So whatever belongs, whatever related to this melacha, whatever you prepare the field, you can see here with the tractor, or we can see, or with the animals, with the ox, with the horse, with the cow, any kind of preparing the field, it's the definition of melechet choresh, that not allowed to do from the Torah. What is the av melacha? It's forbidden to plow the ground, to level it off or make hole in it, like the holes used for planting seeds. So it's forbidden from the Torah to plow the ground, any kind of plowing, even a little bit, or even to make a hole inside the ground. Sometimes the kids want to play outside the sand. They want to make holes. You're not allowed to do it on Shabbat because it's whatever they used to do on the Mishkan. They used to plow in order to plant the seeds. So also we're not allowed to do any kind of plowing and any kind of things that look like plowing and making the field like dipping inside or making any kind of holes. This is the Av Melacha that we're not allowed to do from the Torah. What is the Tolada? Not allowed to clean the field from rocks or grass. So you see, it's not from the Torah, it's from the Rabbanan. I mean, it's not allowed from the Torah, but which means that is not from the Melacha that they used to do in the Mishkan. But it's look like the same. It's also kind of related to preparing the field or planting, preparing the field for planting or seeding. So you're not allowed to clean the field from rocks or grass or any kind of things that left over on the grass. So you're preparing the field, you're taking rock by rock. So also not allowed to do it from the Torah. Okay. What is related to us? What is related to us is we can learn from it that from the Rabbanan, we're not allowed to drag a heavy lawn chair in one's backyard. A really heavy lawn chair is considered plowing. Now I want to carry all the way on the field. I'm not talking about in our houses that we have ceramic floor and everything is good. So you're allowed to drag any kind of chairs that you want and any kind of table. But on the field, on the backyard, a really heavy ones that making kind of plowing, you're not allowed to do it on Shabbat. If it makes holes in the ground and is thus prohibited on Shabbat. Okay? So whatever is making holes and making dipping inside the field, you're not allowed to do it on Shabbat. Carrying the stroller with the baby allowed to do on Shabbat, because even you making a little bit of kind of lines of the field, but it's not considered plowing. You're not having attended to do it. You don't do it very deep. It's not so heavy, so you're allowed to carry the baby with Shabbat. But it's better not to do it on the field, on the especially in the place that you might make it very, very deep. Okay, but of course on the street, of course in the place that you're allowed to carry, in the place that we have eruv, so you're allowed to do it on Shabbat. Also, what is another halakha that we're not allowed to do? To use the broom on the field. If you want clean, to clean, let's say you make a sukkah outside, you want to clean it up outside, you're not allowed to use the broom when it's filled, when you see the earth. I'm not talking about the backyard if you have bricks, if you have a regular floor. I'm talking about the field himself. Also, it's not allowed to do it on Shabbat. Also, to play with the gulot on the earth, on the field. Gulot, it's a little bit jewel. It's a circle things that the kids using on Shabbat. So when you put it, it can make a holes inside the ground. So don't use it any kind of plane, any kind of heavy circle stuff, or any kind of things that can make holes on the fields on Shabbat. Okay, I summarize those halachot. There's many other halachot. There is, but I'm just talking. I'm just give you the summarize what the halacha of each melacha. Okay. So this time, Bezrat Hashem, we will continue the rest of the melachot of Shabbat. You should review it and practice it and see all the definitions and all the distinctions and all what we learn, the 39 melachot, the toladot, the other restriction of Shabbat, and Bezrat Hashem, next time we will continue the rest of the melachot Shabbat, Bezrat Hashem, and then we're going to go one by one to see the avot melachot, the toladot, and the rest of the halachot that related to that. Okay? So Bezrat Hashem, see you next time.